Hello, great people. More details have emerged about the alleged sharp practices of legal luminary Afe Babalola. You will recall that Afe Babalola has been in a running battle of a defamation case against Dele Farotimi, human rights lawyer. Based on the anger that particular case against Dele Farotimi have generated, people have gone into the history books and the Wikileaks and anything possible. People have been shining their torchlight on the past of Afe Babalola. And guess what? Your guess is as good as mine. Revelations have emerged about the alleged sharp practices of Afe Babalola during his active years. In this video, I'll be detailing for you the alleged sharp practices. In fact, I have two to present to you, which is one video, and we'll be doing a brief reading. So this video is in three parts. First, I'll be playing you a video of Yaba Gisoni, where he alleged that Afe Babalola committed sharp practices against the interests of Nigerians when crude were allegedly stolen, that Nigerian crude were stolen to China for sale. You will hear it yourself in a moment. Then when we come back from watching that video, I'll be reading to you the Wikileaks details. What is Wikileaks? I'll be telling you when we return from the video. Then after that, we'll be analyzing everything all together briefly. What I need from you is your attention. If another thing that I need from you is your comment in the comment section. What you think about all these expositions against Afe Babalola. And of course, if you are yet to subscribe, do well to subscribe to this channel. Let's quickly watch the video of Yaba Gisoni. It's just about 20 seconds video, but then you can make a lot of meaning out of it. Let's watch it, then we come back to the Wikileaks report. Let's watch the video. Let's watch it.
Even the one you talk about, our crude oil in the facilities abroad, during Buhari's administration, I'm aware, 2 teams were sent to China. They came back and confirmed that we have crude oil there. Later, NNPC hired Afe Babalola to go on television, advertise on the papers that the whistleblower is a liar, that nothing like that happened.
There you have it. You just heard what Yaba Gisoni said. Will Afe Babalola also sue Yaba Gisoni? We are waiting for Afe Babalola's rebuttal or affirmation of what Yaba Gisoni said, or what Afe Babalola's lawyer we have to say. You see, in Nigeria, if the God of Nigerians is backing somebody up, be careful how you go against such a person. And if you know that you don't chop dodo, be very careful, because when Nigerians will begin to shine torchlight into your past, more revelations will emerge. Now let's go into that of Wikileaks. What is Wikileaks to start with? Wikileaks are classified U.S. diplomatic cables sent to and from U.S. embassies in countries throughout the world. It is like, in simple explanation, U.S. embassies, they send report of happenings in the countries that they are operating in back to the United States. In other words, U.S. embassy now, they'll be sending reports, political happenings, economic happenings, anything of U.S. interest, judicial happenings, anything that is of interest to you, they'll be sending report to the United States. So Wikileaks, as said, is classified U.S. diplomatic cable. That means that it is classified. It is not supposed to be in public domain. But then Wikileaks got hold of it and was to publish 251,287 cables originating from 274 embassies. You heard me right, 274 embassies, and dating from December 28, 1966 to February 28, 2010. It means that if Nigerians are able to get hold of the Wikileaks report about Nigerians, about U.S. Embassy in Nigeria, it means that a lot of secrets will be in the open from 1966 to 2010. A lot will be exposed, and one of the expositions is what we are going into now. Now, I want to read exactly as it was quoted from the Wikileaks report. That's what I want to read to you. And what I need, as I said earlier, is just your attention. Then I'll leave you to be the judge. Do you think Afe Babalola is guilty from the things that you've seen as a Nigerian around you that you've been hearing, could this be possible? I leave you to be the judge, but let me read to you. Now, the document on B Abuja 539, classified by Russell J. Hanks, acting political counsellor in a summary aid. Now, I start reading now, direct from the Wikileaks report. On July 5, an appeal court sitting in Jos overturned the... Wait, let me give you a background. This reading is about the governorship of Haruna that ruled from 1999 to 2007 in Adamawa State, the home state of Atiku Abubakar. Fortunately or otherwise, Atiku Abubakar wasn't even mentioned in this report. The person that was mentioned is Olusegun Obasanjo, but Adamawa is the home state of Atiku Abubakar. So it may have been Atiku Abubakar that is fighting to retain Boni Haruna, who allegedly committed electoral infractions, and not to have been removed, because normally Atiku Abubakar won't just sit down and watch you remove the governor of his home state. But his name didn't feature here. It was Obasanjo's name that featured. Just to lay that background for you so that you understand what I'm reading to you. Now, let's go into the reading. On July 5, an appeal court sitting in Jos overturned the March 24 election tribunal decision that had nullified the election of Adamawa State Governor Boni Haruna. The verdicts of the appeal court and the election tribunal differed so significantly. Again, I'll take that. The verdict of the appeal court and the election tribunal differed so significantly. Why? You get to know now. Let me continue reading. Differ so significant on their findings of the relevant facts that they beg the question of whether one verdict or the other may have been influenced by outside parties. I continue reading. On July 5, an appeal court sitting in Jos overturned the March 24 election tribunal decision that had nullified the election of Adamawa State Governor Boni Haruna, PDP member and protege of VP Atiku Abubakar. I stopped reading to make some explanation. Now, I said Atiku Abubakar's name did not mention. His name mentioned, but Atiku Abubakar wasn't criminally indicted. The person that was criminally indicted was the president at that time, Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, let's continue reading. Another context to this thing. Then, the case of governorship elections ends at the appeal court. It doesn't get to the Supreme Court. It's only the presidential election that gets to the Supreme Court. So, your case will only be treated at the tribunal, which is the court of first instance, equivalent to High Court. Then, if you are dissatisfied with the judgment, you go to appeal court. Anything appeal court says, that is the end. There's no Supreme Court. It was later that they brought in the Supreme Court, that the Supreme Court should also be sitting on those appeals. Now, let us continue reading. The original election tribunal had found beyond reasonable doubt that electoral malpractices had taken place and that the election was non-compliant with the electoral law. I continue reading. The appeal court in Jos, which is the final court, however, found that the evidence used by the election tribunal was absolutely inadequate even to prove the simplest of a criminal offense, very impotent to affect the appellant cross-respondents, ridiculous for convicting any of the appellant cross-respondents with commission of any electoral offense, and that the evidence was scandalous and naive as a basis for nullifying the election. Let me explain to you. This is an important paragraph. The court of first instance, the tribunal, gave a judgment that there are strong evidences to show that Boni Haruna rigged the election, and they nullify his win at the court of first instance, which is the tribunal equivalent to High Court. Now, don't forget that the people at the tribunal and the appeal court, the final court of instance at that point in time, were both lawyers. So, and there is a constitution, there's an electoral act that is guiding how they interpret the law. But the court of first instance said there are strong electoral infraction. The appeal court haven't received money, and be ready to bring out your calculator, because you will soon press calculator for me now. The appeal court then haven't received money. They went against the judgment of the court of first instance. In fact, they trashed everything into pieces, that there is no evidence, that how can the court of first instance have given such a... In fact, they came down hard on the court of first instance, which is the appeal court, as I've read to you. Let us continue. Let us read further. According to an attorney for Haruna, the then governor, the outcome was ensured. This is where I need your attention. Was ensured in typical Nigerian fashion. Like the word of that skit maker, aye mi temi ba mi. Typical Nigerian fashion. Imagine they are writing about this. They are writing this about Nigeria and sending it to the US. Imagine typical Nigerian fashion. That means that it is an habit. It is something that it is regular. It is not strange. Let's continue reading. According to Haruna, the outcome was ensured in typical Nigerian fashion with cash. The attorney who works for presidential attorney, Afe Babalola, that means that the lawyer of Boni Haruna works for Afe Babalola. He was a lawyer in the chamber of Afe Babalola. You know, Afe Babalola was a big lawyer at that time. In fact, you know, to use this softly, a notorious lawyer, in the sense that he not only knows the law, he knows all the dictates of the law, and he knows how to get a favorable judgment for you in the law court and play the politics outside the law court to make sure that you are his client, you eventually triumph. That's who Afe Babalola is allegedly at that time. Now, let us read further. The attorney works for presidential attorney. Afe Babalola said that when President Obasanjo sent Babalola to take over the appeal, he also sent cash used for the appeal. The attorney claims that he went along for the delivery of 30 million naira as at that time. 30 million naira as at that time was about 225,000 naira. Each to each of the 5 judges. That means that each judge, every judge, received 225,000 US dollars. One judge. There are 5 judges. Each one of them received 225,000 naira. Now, let me go to my calculator here. 225,000 naira, according to the exchange rate of today, 1,600, is 360 million naira. What is the salary of a judge today? That you go and give a judge 360 million for one case, just one case, and you that you are the litigant, you think you get justice when the judge has received 360 million naira, equivalent of today's money. What is the salary of a judge in Nigeria if a judge receives 360 million naira? Now, let us go back to the reading of about 225,000 US dollars, which I just said is about 360 million naira, to each of the 5 judges on the tribunal, but did not know if this was all the money disbursed. That means that there may have still been money, disbursed, but the one he knows of is that one that equates to, in the Nigeria of today, 360 million naira. Now, let us continue. This is the normal procedure when it is an important case. I'm reading the quote direct quote. This is the normal procedure when it is an important case. So, as it was in the beginning, so it is now. Imagine when it was, and so can we say Dele Farotimi is wrong or lying? Can we really say that? When they said this is the normal procedure, it is normal to bribe when it is an important case he have had. Let's continue reading. Note, the appeal court decision is final, as I explained earlier, and cannot be appealed to Nigeria's Supreme Court. Let's continue reading. I'm reading direct. It says, while the embassy had been unable to examine the appeal court ruling in its entirety, the verdicts of the appeal court and the election tribunal differed. That means they were so different, differed so significantly on their findings of the relevant facts that it begs the question of whether one verdict or the other may have been influenced by either by outside parties. It means that the verdict was so different to the extent that they were wondering that is either the judgment of the first court was influenced by outside parties or the judgment of the final court, which was the appeal court at that point in time. Let us continue reading. We are going somewhere. Both parties were composed of senior members of the judiciary, both operating under the same laws, principles, and guidelines. It will be normal for an appeal court to have a slightly different interpretation than a lower court. But the radical divergent views of the just court from the Yola tribunal leave little doubt that something other than the law was factored in to the final decision. Are you with me? Was factored in to the final decision. Let me stop there. You can see the Nigeria that we have. So if the corruption in the judiciary had been existing long before now, and if Afe Babalola's name is mentioned in this crucial influence of the judge of the Court of Appeal in the Adamawa State election, when Haruna was the governor of Adamawa State, can Dele Farotimi then be correct? Could it be that Dele Farotimi was lying? If Dele Farotimi was lying, let us imagine something. Is the U.S. court lying? The lawyer that served under Afe Babalola at that point in time, could he be lying? If Afe Babalola was involved in that sharp criminal practice, is that his first and last practice as a lawyer? Is that his first and last sharp practices? You can see that there is more to be answered. And let's close with a prayer. The prayer is that what will happen? That God should give Nigeria more stubborn boys, in quote, more stubborn boys like Dele Farotimi. You know that Dele Farotimi is a lawyer. The people that were being accused are lawyers. Afe Babalola is a lawyer. The judges are lawyers too. So God should be raising, in quote, stubborn boys, or should I say stubborn men, in different sectors of the Nigerian society, so that we can begin to get more revelations that are important to the Nigerian people. And I know that if this case persists, more revelations will come out. And I pray that in Jesus' name, in Allah's name, in the name of whatever you two believe in, more revelations should be coming out. If Afe Babalola knows that he has committed some mago, he had better back down and let Dele Farotimi go his own way, so that more secrets will not be exposed, because this is now a matter of public knowledge and public interest. But I don't pray that he should back down, because I want more revelations. You see what is that? So if this had happened in 1999 to 2007, imagine what will be happening now. And are you surprised at the judgment of the courts, at the presidential or at the state election or whatever? And that's why politicians will tell you, go to court. Because there's allegedly an established corrupt system for them to actualize their aim. More revelations should come our way. We can't wait for them. We can't wait for the revelations. And may God let them to unravel more to the interest of the Nigerian populace. It's been an interesting time with you on this episode of Politics with Dr. Omoshola Deji. Dr. Deji is a political scientist with a PhD in political science, and this is where we dissect politics and happenings in the polity. Do want to subscribe, turn on your notification button, catch up with my past videos, and of course, I have great interesting videos coming your way. Till I see you again, always remember that I love you all sincerely.